Hey there, Patriots. This is True Outlaw Patriot coming at you with another one. The video that I'm putting together tonight is to basically spread awareness on a video that I came across last night that it needs to be seen, it needs to be heard, and it definitely needs to be, in my opinion, investigated. And I pray that it will be investigated to the fullest. Okay? So I want everybody to bear with me. There's going to be two videos that I'm going to play. They're both short. The first one that I'm going to play is about some federal agencies that have been defunct for a very long time, and yet taxpayer money is still going and to fund them. And it was especially happening when Biden was in office. So we're going to find out as time goes on what's going to happen to these agencies and who's going to be held responsible. But that's not the main topic to what I want to show tonight. Okay? And I encourage everybody to truly stick with this video to the end. It's something that's going to shock you. I mean, when I came across it, I had no idea. I mean, I had somewhat of an inkling that something like this was happening, but I mean, this whole USAID fiasco, this organization is gotten so has been exposed so much that it doesn't surprise me. Okay. Of the information that I came across last night, and it doesn't surprise me how Donald Trump has ordered for the building's name and stuff like that to be stripped off the building. They actually sent a crew out there to just strip all the name off the building. I mean, basically cover up the name on the windows and all that. This agency has been taking Americans and people around the world for a ride for a very, very long time. But I don't want to have too much of a long intro. Please stick with me, especially if you care. Okay, let's get to this first topic first. Here we go.
Dozens of federal government agencies are registered but don't even exist. In fact, some agencies listed were only temporary or have been long gone for decades. Joining us this morning to discuss is the Deputy Public Policy Editor for OpenTheBooks.com, Rachel O'Brien. Good morning to you, Rachel. Always good to see you. Now, this is important as the DOGE committee looks to cut wasteful government spending, obviously. Just how many federal agencies are there, and what exactly is the status of the ones that are now defunct?
Yeah, so we're talking about the Federal Register. That's the official journal of the U.S. government. It's where all the rules and public notices can be found. You can find executive orders. So it lists 441 agencies, but almost 1/5 of them, 75 of them, are effectively defunct or obsolete. So 39 of those agencies were temporary commissions. They were created to study maybe a single issue and produce a report. For example, the Commission on the Future of the U.S. Aerospace Industry, 21st Century Workforce Commission. Those were all temporary, but they're all still listed there. 12 agencies have closed. They've had their duties merged with another agency. For instance, the Oklahoma City National Memorial Trust and the Valles Caldera Trust, those were separate entities. They're now part of the National Park Service, but they're still listed on the Federal Register. So if the federal government were a book, there would really be no usable table of contents for the average American to find what they're seeking.
Isn't that wild? But in order for DOGE or anyone else to make a roadmap for cutting wasteful spending, there needs to be obviously an accurate picture of federal agencies. So how is your organization, how is Open the Books doing this?
Yeah, so this is shockingly bad record keeping, especially for the official record keeper of the U.S. government.
Yeah.
So, they're not updated. So members of the public, you have to do deep research to find out about the composition of their own government. So Open the Books is going to periodically release a list of agencies. There are 366 agencies that are receiving federal funds. So we will have studied which ones these are. We're going to chart their growth, their expense, and activity over time. To determine if taxpayers are getting their money's worth and if they're even getting anything at all out of these agencies. So we're going to keep tabs on this and hoping Doge will delete these obsolete agencies.
And for those agencies that are now defunct, where's that money going? That's
right.
The bigger
well, some
question.
of them get funding. A lot of them don't, but some do still get funding. President Biden was still funding. His budget request had some of these entities in it before he left office.
Even before President Trump signed the executive order, to create Doge, lawsuits were filed to stop it. How does the Trump administration plan to get around all this?
Of course.
Yeah, so this is all, Doge is part of all of this now, right? So these lawsuits claimed that Doge doesn't comply with the Federal Advisory Committee Act, and that requires advisory committees, like Doge would have been maybe an advisory committee. They have to have certain requirements. They've got to have a politically balanced membership, publicly accessible meetings, stuff like that. So when Trump created Doge, he didn't make it an advisory committee. He now repurposes one of these old offices, an Obama-era office called the U.S. Digital Services. And so that has different rules for operating. So fun fact here, one of the plaintiffs that sued in these cases, American Public Health Association, is also a federal grantee. They get millions of dollars from the federal government. $7 million for inserting DEI into their work. And so they then turned around, sued the government, because it was a classic case of suing to protect your own interests.
All right. Deputy Public Policy Editor for OpenTheBooks.com, Rachel O'Brien. Great to see you.
Okay, folks. So you heard that of what's going on. There are still agencies out there that the Democrats are pushing back on Doge for investigating. Okay, which means only one thing. A lot of these agencies, these programs are obviously most likely shell organizations where they're just collecting taxpayer money again, and they're basically just laundering it in any which way that they can. Okay, I like the way the Democrats have been pushing back ever since Trump became president and put Elon Musk in charge of this whole situation. I like the way they're pushing back, and they keep saying that Elon Musk wasn't voted in, that he's not a government employee, that what Trump is doing is unconstitutional, and they're pushing back so damn hard. It could only mean one thing, that they are being exposed. And it's something, in my opinion, that's going to make the Democrat Party, it's crumbling now as it is. Okay, so all it's going to do is basically seal their fate when more and more information comes out. And that's why so many people are pushing back. Lawsuits are coming out now. Judges are trying to block Trump, which, in my opinion, just means that, of course, the judges are paid off and the politicians are paid off. Everybody wants a piece of the action, but when it comes to opening up the books, nobody wants to talk about how they're getting their money. And that's indicative of the way the Democrats do things. Okay, that's their MO. It's always about, don't ask, don't worry about it, we have your best interests at heart, you don't need to know the details, just give us the money, pass the bills, sign here, and just go about your business. And that's why there is so much chaos in this country. And it doesn't help that the mainstream media, okay, and their leftist hacks and shills on social media keep pushing the issue as if they're still in the right and everybody that's on Trump's side is wrong. But had this scandal been on the other foot, the Democrats would have been all over it. We all know this. We all know it. As a matter of fact, it's already happened, because with all the fake lawsuits that they've been throwing against Trump, okay, that shows you right there that they're all about just projecting and trying to throw people off their scent. But their scent stinks to high heaven. Okay, and that's why so much of this dirt is coming out. And something else, like I said, I'm going to play the next video. I got it from Redacted. Okay, I'm going to try to not put my 2 cents in too quickly. But the next video that I'm going to play is definitely something people need to pay attention to. Do more homework on it. Pass it around. Okay, and really ask questions. Because if it turns out to be true, I really don't have words to describe how I feel from finding out this information that I found out last night. So I'm going to digress on this topic right here with these Doge lawsuits going. Let's get to the next video clip, and we'll take it from there. Here we go.
Well, would it shock you to learn that the United States government has been sending millions of dollars to Guatemala? Yes, upwards of $800 million to Guatemala via a laundry list of NGOs and organizations like USAID, and turn Guatemala into the child kidnapping capital of the world. Yes, our tax dollars, your tax dollars, funneled through USAID has led to over 190,000 Guatemalan children being kidnapped from Guatemala and then trafficked into the United States. And the horrors that unfold after that. What happens to these children? Are they killed? Are they disappeared? Sexually abused and thrown away like garbage? Our next guest wanted to break this story right here on Redacted. He has the receipts. He was just in Guatemala. He's just left Guatemala. He's in El Salvador now. He's safe and sound, thankfully. Please welcome independent journalist Ryan Mata to the show. Ryan, great to see you. I mean, sort of following what was unfolding while you were in Guatemala and getting these receipts, and it's an unbelievable story. Can you just paint a 30,000-foot level view of this for our audience? What have you uncovered?
Yeah, Clayton. So you've had me on your show several times to talk about my documentaries, which expose the world's largest child trafficking network that's being ran by our government. So out of the last 4 years, there's been 452,121 migrant children have been trafficked from 180 different nations all around the world into America, where our government takes possession of these children and is now openly admitted to losing 350,000 of them. So after my last documentary release, I was contacted by the Attorney General of Guatemala, and she asked if I could come to Guatemala to sit down with her team and talk about the amount of children that are being kidnapped out of Guatemala. So I started digging into that, found out that 42 to 48% of those children have came from Guatemala alone. That means out of the last 4 years, 190,052 children have been kidnapped out of Guatemala, trafficked into America, and processed into this child trafficking network migratorily by our government. To put that into context, the population size of Guatemala is 15 million. Their child population is 7 million. So over 3% of their entire child population has been kidnapped and trafficked out of Guatemala into America. And they've done so through this network of NGOs that are all being funded by USAID.
So USAID, of course, is now being closed, shut down under Doge, under Trump. Democrats are freaking out about it. They're trying to bring articles of impeachment against Trump. They're calling for Elon Musk's head. But what at the heart of USAID is an absolutely demonic, almost I would say satanic organization.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right here for a second, folks. That's exactly what it is, what he said. It's demonic. It's satanic. It's everything evil that anybody could think of. I've mentioned it on a lot of my videos when I touch upon this subject, that it is just, this is something, okay, that should be all over the news. And it just baffles my mind, the level of censorship and the people that they pay this allegiance, okay, to the powers that be, and it's mostly to the left when it comes to this subject, to keep it hush hush. And it also baffles me the way the left, again, the way they project, saying that Trump's a dictator, that his followers are a cult. And when you look at this, especially with what Clay just said, this is demonic, this is satanic. That is what cults do. This is what cults do. Okay? And it makes more sense, more and more, why the Democrats are fighting tooth and nail and coming up with all these lies, because Elon Musk went and shut down USAID, okay, to get into the books and find out where all this money is going. And it's because it's not only because of the programs that they're funding, like the DEI programs and the transgender programs worldwide. I heard a content creator the other day say that this whole movement has become a religion. It's not about an agenda as far as like a movement, okay? It's become a religion. It's what they believe in. It's what they want to do. It's what they're going to stick to, regardless of the consequences. They are going to push on this. They're going to double, triple, quadruple down. They're going to lie. They're going to point the finger. They're going to do everything possible but give up. Okay, none of these people that are involved, unless it's a low-tier person that gets picked up by the cops or the feds or whatever the case is and doesn't want to go to prison, they might start talking. But the higher-ups, the politicians, the people that are in charge of the NGOs and all these organizations, they're not going to give up. And this is why it is so important for more and more people to understand what's going on, push this information out. Okay, if you have a way to speak to your political officials in your town, your county, whatever the case is, the more people we get on our side, especially in politics and on the media, the more this can be exposed. And I know that a lot of people out there don't have a lot of faith in the government or politicians. Some people have no faith at all, and I get it. Because look at all this evilness that is being committed. Look at the viciousness that not only politicians on the left are doing right now and going through. There's also people on the right that are joining them. But it does not change the fact that if all this is true, that people need to be held accountable. Just on this one issue alone, never mind all the other stuff, but people need to be held accountable. Not some low tier person that's working in the office. No, we're talking big shot officials need to be held accountable. And just for a quick little side note, and I'll keep playing, I don't know if anybody heard, but the left is making a big stink because Donald Trump stripped away Biden's security clearance. Okay? Supposedly that's what presidents do. But Donald Trump left his thoughts on it on Truth Social. I'll let you guys go on there. If you have an account, or just go on there and check it out. And he actually explained it the right way. It's because Biden has been compromised. And no better time can a president have his security clearance stripped away than now. Because Biden has been compromised for, I want to say, his whole political career. But enough of that. Let's listen to some more about what's going on. Here we go.
That has been involved in this. Now, you've got the receipts. So let's talk about what you've uncovered from the documents here and what you've seen during your time there in Guatemala.
So, Clayton, when I got contacted by the Attorney General, right, I hired a private investigator firm to track every penny that our government has sent to Guatemala over the last 4 years. So that number that you stated, we're right in the open, $797 million has basically been taken out of our taxpayer money and shipped into Guatemala, unaccounted for. There's no oversight over this money. And then he did me a favor. He went back all the way back to 2012. Guess what? $4 billion, over $4 billion has been funneled into Guatemala since 2012. And I have the receipts for that. So because my name has gotten pretty big in Guatemala, and they know they can't trust their government, they can't trust their news, it's all being ran by Usaid, the government's rotted to the core, the only one good in their government is the Attorney General's office. I had a whistleblower come forward and handed me a thumb drive. And on that thumb drive is offshore bank accounts of an ambassador, Todd Robinson, a previous Attorney General, Thelma Aldana. So Thelma Aldana is now a fugitive in Guatemala. She's on the run. She's being protected by our State Department. She's getting awards by Anthony Blinken. And I have her offshore bank accounts. A woman that was making $40,000 to $50,000 a year has offshore bank accounts, not just one, multiple, with millions of dollars in them, Clayton. Millions of dollars.
Okay. Does anybody know that name, Anthony Blinken? Yes, that's right. He worked for the Biden administration. It's funny how they're using our taxpayer money to protect somebody who's a fugitive that's on the run. Okay? And yet this is something that's been going on since 2012 to the tune of over $4 billion. $4 billion of our money that we had no idea where it was going. And I know some of you is going to look at this and say, well, that means that Trump was in on it. Let me tell you something. If Trump was in on this, he, back in 2016 up until 2020, he would have been making these moves back then. And the reason why I say that is because, you know what? If none of us knew about it, this is all coming to light now. That means he definitely didn't know about it. And he would not, if he knew about it, he would not be pushing so hard to uncover all this. Lest anybody forget who was the president, who got reelected to be president in 2012. Let all that sink in, people. Let it sink in. And think about, like I've always said in my other videos, man. Close your eyes and think about the most unimaginable thing that can happen to a child, and that is what's going on with these children. And for some reason, whether people want to believe it or not, understand this, it keeps pointing back to the Democrat Party. Let's continue.
Yeah, Todd Robinson, the previous ambassador to Guatemala, who was the ambassador to Guatemala from 2014 to 2017, has offshore bank accounts with millions of dollars in them. And there was transactions taking place in those offshore accounts when he was the ambassador. And then he was promoted by Anthony Blinken to like the top narcotics cop of the world.
So do we know where this money directly came from? Have you been able to track where it came from? Were these payments coming through these NGOs funneled from USAID?
Not yet. That's why I'm coming here to break this story, because we need somebody like Kash Patel, we need somebody like Pam Bondi, somebody that has access to get that information that I don't have access to. I just got lucky to get this thumb drive, and I promised them that I would put it out here and give it to the world, and that's what I'm doing. That's why I'm on your show. It's not my.
Let me cut it again. I'll go back just a little bit. I know the question he just asked about the NGOs getting the money through USAID or USAID, whatever. But as a matter of fact, Trump has put in that no more funding. All funding is going to be frozen from going to any NGOs. So that right there in itself, regardless if he has all this gentleman right here, Ryan Mata, has all the numbers right now as far as like who's getting what. The fact is that if any of these NGOs are working with USAID, chances are money is going to them. Okay? I mean, there's been a major uptick in NGOs since Biden became president. We all know this. There's no secret to it. A lot of these NGOs are the ones harboring all these illegals, helping them to get into the country, telling them what to say, what to do, whatever the case is, so that they can work their way into the country and just basically, in a lot of instances, get away with murder. Get away with murder, with crime, whatever the case is. But I'm going to leave that at that. I just wanted to throw that in. Let's get back to it.
Out here and give it to the world, and that's what I'm doing. That's why I'm on your show. It's not my information. We need people at the highest level to investigate these criminals.
Exactly.
And I got one more for you, Clayton.
Oh yeah, please.
So in this list is a declassified internal document from within Guatemala, and it looks like it would be the equivalent, I believe, of like our Secret Service or our CIA. Somebody at the highest level ordered this investigation. And this is what the previous president, Jimmy Morales, in 2017 was calling for an investigation into Todd Robinson, because allegedly Todd Robinson was raping little boys over here in Guatemala. So I get this document that was this investigation done into Todd Robinson in 2017, and I had it translated into English, and it basically states that Todd Robinson is, number one, a raging alcoholic. He's gay. He has 2 gay lovers. One of them works at the U.S. Embassy, and one was a Guatemalan national. This man would get drunk. There wasn't a meeting or anything that happened that Todd Robinson did that didn't involve drinks. He was a huge raging alcoholic, and he would throw these Diddy-style freak-off parties at his private palace in Guatemala, where he was having the cartels deliver little boys to his property. And there's allegedly that a 13-year-old boy was raped at one of these parties, and the mother filed a police report and an investigation into him. And he used his powers inside the Guatemalan police departments to destroy that evidence. And that's what Jimmy Morales was calling for, for an investigation into Todd Robinson. And that's why our government, our State Department, was hell-bent on overthrowing Jimmy Morales. If you go back to 2017, there was a coup attempt. And that coup attempt came a couple months after Jimmy Morales called for the investigation. And then at one of his freak-off parties, he gets so drunk that he goes and takes a gun from a security guard, starts shooting the gun into the air. The security guard tries to get his gun back. A scuffle breaks out. The security guard is shot in the leg. And nobody to this day has ever heard or spoke to that security guard again.
Wow.
And this is an internal document that I sent you this morning in an email from some office in Guatemala. And I've now given all this information to Guatemalan authorities as well.
Who exactly is Todd Robinson, for our audience who's not familiar with him?
That is a great question. Todd Robinson graduated from Georgetown University in 1985, and then in 86 was immediately picked up by our State Department. And since then, he's gone from organization to organization to organization. These are job titles that I don't know. I've never even heard of these positions, but they're somehow in our government. And then it goes all the way up to his last position when he was just removed from his previous position. Give me 2 seconds and I'll pull that up here for you and I'll tell you the exact title of that position. Wait for it. Okay, here it is. So he was just the Assistant Secretary of State for International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs. So he's the top international narcotics and law enforcement officer in the world. And we now have the worst drug epidemic ever in American history. And
did you people get that? Did you hear that? And people wonder why. And I'm talking people that are trying to put the pieces together. Why is it that the Biden administration was so hell-bent on keeping that border open? Why was it such a problem to go after the cartels, the mules, the drug dealers, whatever the case is? And like I said, if all this ends up to be true, this is your answer why. Because they've been working the system, not from state to state, but from country to country, with their own people working the system. And yet you have all these people here in America that are waving their flag saying that they hate America, that America's doing this, America's doing that. I, for one, I am getting sick and tired when people look at America and when something goes bad, they say it's all of America. No, that's not how it goes. Okay? Like any country that doesn't do the right thing, there's going to be corruption within their government. You can't blame the whole country. You can blame the politicians and you can blame a certain percentage of the population that is going along with those politicians, just like what's going on here in America, but you cannot blame the whole country. And it pisses me off the way people are saying that it's America that's enacting all this. No, it's people within our government that's enacting all this. But like I said, it always, for some odd reason, and I'm just using that term loosely, because we know, or we could just imagine what all the reasons are, but it just keeps pointing back to the left. And like I said, and I do believe, in all honesty, I believe there's some Republicans and rhinos that are in on it also. Only time will tell with all that. But look at the way this has been going on. We've heard of so many names coming out from the Democrat Party. I mean, like Anthony Blinken, whatever the case is. Has anybody ever heard of this man that he's talking about? I've never heard of him. And I've kept my ear to the ground for years, especially going on the last 2 years, to even hear a name once and say, I remember that name being mentioned. I've never heard of this man's name, the one that he's talking about. And I pray to God that this information gets to Trump, gets to Elon, or whatever it is that they're doing, whatever it is that they're investigating, that they will investigate this and bring all this to light. I have a strong feeling it is, but the sooner the better. For the kids' sakes, for the sake of the children that are missing, the sooner the better. Let's continue.
And that's the guy who's responsible for it.
And his bank accounts reflect millions of dollars in payments, offshore bank accounts.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Has anyone in the Trump administration reached out to try to help with this at this point, or where do things stand? I know under the Biden administration, of course, they've tried to completely hide their connections to what has happened in Guatemala. Where do things stand now with the Trump administration?
I think what Trump's doing with Usaid, I think there's a lot more to this story. I think we're going to find out, and every single one of these Democrats that are going after and out there and trying to defend Usaid right now, I think they're terrified that if Elon starts looking into the money and these organizations start getting audited, you're going to start to find a lot of these politicians, these unelected bureaucrats with offshore bank accounts. I couldn't figure it out. The Democrats, and when they're a politician, it made sense that USAID was funding NGOs, NGOs were donating to the political campaigns, and that money was coming back full circle. But the unelected bureaucrats, I couldn't ever figure it out.
All right, let me stop real quick. I promise I'll just, hopefully the last time. What he just said about the unelected bureaucrats, meanwhile, the Democrats right now are against Elon Musk, saying that he's unelected, that he should not be doing what he's doing. But look at who the Democrats were employing: an unelected bureaucrat, an unelected person in the shadows, okay, using our taxpayer money to just commit some evil in another country. Think about that.
But now that I'm seeing all these offshore bank accounts, it's like, oh, okay, that money's going into an offshore bank account. That's how you're getting paid back.
What does the Guatemalan Attorney General's office hope will come of this by bringing this information to you, providing a thumb drive, these offshore accounts? What are they hoping that you'll be able to do in Guatemala?
I got this information, not from the Attorney General's, Clayton, from a confidential human source that brought it to me. I just delivered it to the Attorney General's office today. So they're just now receiving all of this information, allegedly, for the first time. I had sources that said that they've tried to get it to him before, maybe it didn't make it to the right person, but now they 100% have it. And what they're looking for is they're looking for the cooperation. I was talking to him prior to this. They want the cooperation of the Trump administration. They want to work hand in hand with the Trump administration to completely eradicate corruption and hold every single corrupt government official inside Guatemala accountable, along with anybody from USAID or any American organizations that were working with the corrupt individuals. I interviewed a girl this weekend, Clayton, that could tell you how much money, within a few $100, how many dollar quintillas can fit in a shoebox. I could pick up any bag in my room. She was the bag girl for these corrupt politicians in Guatemala, to the point where she could tell you exactly to like the thousandth of a dollar how much can fit in any bag, any container in a room. That's how much money she was passed around in cash for these guys.
Wow.
What happened to these children?
These children are in America right now, and we need to find them. We need to get hands on them. Our government processed them migratorily, they put them into a system, and they've delivered them to unvetted, undocumented illegal immigrants all throughout our country.
Yep.
The worst things humanly possibly unimaginable are happening to these children right now.
That's what I've been saying.
100% fact that as we speak, in the time that we've been on this call, that 100% one of these migrant children is being raped as we speak.
I've been saying it.
And our government vetted the adult that they gave that child to, Clayton.
Okay, it sickens me. There's only a couple of seconds left. But this is what I've been saying, people. Anybody that follows my channel, I have been saying that. I said it before, and I've been saying it in previous videos. Think of the worst thing that can happen. That's exactly what's happening to those kids. Every second of every day. And not just them. Even American kids that have gone missing. While we close our eyes at night. Okay? And I thank the Lord that, that we can do that, but that's why I'm always saying, to pray for the children, pray for the women, because when we close our eyes at night, you fill in the blank. Let's just put it that way. Okay? And it's no secret. We've heard about this for years. We've heard about this for decades. We've heard the horror stories. I mean, there's been documentaries on it. There's been news listings on it. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And now it just seems to be, and here's the thing. I don't think that it's gotten more rampant. What I think that in this age of technology, we're just seeing more of it. It's always been out there en masse. It's just that we're finding out about it more and more and more. And thank God for technology. Let's finish this off.
Our government deeply involved in this. It's being run by Satanists. I mean, there's no other way to put it right now. And that's why Democrats are so upset about this being exposed. It's deeply, deeply troubling. Ryan, thank you for bringing this to us.
All right, I'm going to leave it right there. That's the end. His name is Ryan Mata. Go to Redacted. Go to their channel. They have the one on Rumble and on YouTube. I chose to do the reaction on the one on Rumble because the one on YouTube, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to put this reaction on YouTube. I don't know if I can monetize it or it's going to get deleted like one of my other videos. I don't know. But if it doesn't, please pass the link around. Show it to everyone. Make everyone aware, especially your family members, sisters, nieces, aunts, whatever, the kids. You know, people may say, well, that's happening to the kids in Guatemala. Yeah, that they're uncovering. But the truth of the matter is, this is happening to American kids also. Okay? And one more thing before I finish this. I don't know if he mentioned it or I seen it on another video, but supposedly there's kids missing that they're being brought into America from over 100, basically like every country on the planet. Let's just put it that way. I think he said 176 countries or something like that kids are being snatched up. And it breaks my heart to say that it doesn't matter where they're being taken. It should not happen. It doesn't make me feel better if they were taken somewhere else. But as an American, it breaks my heart that this is where they're ending up. This is the supposed human trafficking capital of the world, and it just sickens me to my stomach as a human being and as an American. It needs to be abolished, not only here in America but worldwide. And that's it. But anyway, that's what I got for you. Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, pass the channel around, and if you can help support the channel, there's a link in my description to my Cash App and my merch store. So remember, people, stay vigilant, keep praying for each other, keep praying for the women and the children, pray for this country, pray for your enemies, pray for Donald Trump, and pray for all the missing children, people. Peace.